Hi. 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 Welcome to the Taco Cast. I'm Crystal,
I'm Will.
and you're our audience on this lovely Sunday. I hope everybody's having a great day, and I hope that some of you people have some plans, some travel plans going on. Gonna go visit some place now. That a lot of places have lockdown getting eased up. Got some travel plans. What do you think, Will?
What do I think about traveling?
Mhm.
I would love to travel. Go back east, see some family, but probably won't happen. I don't have money for that.
Flying is expensive.
No, I don't like to fly. I like to drive. I like to see the country and actually be able to stop whenever I want, visit with the locals in an area. Off the beaten path. I travel on I-90, I-95, and whenever I can, you know, um, find some reason to pull off the interstate, if it's 40, 50 miles to a small farming community or someplace that doesn't get tourism dollars per se, just to stop in, have lunch in, a little tiny cafe, meet the locals, find out what's going on in that area, how people are actually really doing. That's what I really enjoy. It may take me 3 times as long to get from here to there, but you know, and then there are so many people that are out there, though, like yourself, who want to travel internationally and see the sights and stuff like that. There's so much of America that is not on the interstate system that you can miss, and you'll never be able to experience it unless you actually, make yourself do it. That's what I really enjoy. I enjoy talking to people, the locals.
Yeah, a perfect example of sometimes the journey is the point.
True. But back to what you're saying in today's topic.
Well, that's a perfect segue into what I wanted to do. So, Will and I don't have a long video planned for today, but we did want to give people some safe driving tips for people that might have vacations planned. They're going to be spending some time in the car, especially with the heat wave that's been going on, the exacerbated temperatures. We thought it might be a really good idea to, and this isn't just applicable in the U.S. Heat is heat, regardless of where you happen to be at. If you're in Canada, if you're in the UK, sun's
Or in
gonna
Australia or New Zealand.
possibly worse in Australia. I hear their temperatures are pretty bad.
Are they?
Yeah.
Well,
New Zealand's surrounded by ocean. They just get like the ocean breeze.
do they?
I have no idea. I romanticize New Zealand in my head.
But you want me to move there?
Because I romanticize New Zealand in my head. And
Okay.
in my head, New Zealand is the perfect place, and everything amazing happens there. Like ferries drift by, and just like rose petals everywhere and glitter, and
Really?
the air smells like vanilla ice cream.
Is that where they're keeping all the unicorns?
Yeah, they're all in New Zealand.
Oh.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that. Yeah, unicorns are in New Zealand.
Learn something new every day, ladies and gentlemen. But anyway, so
anyways, yeah, we just wanted to give you guys some travel tips. So part of the reason for this is we had a heat wave in the area where we live. It affected several states here.
we live in the desert.
Yeah, but it affected people not just in the States. British Columbia, apparently, in the heat wave, had, what was it, 486. They had 486 deaths. And typically in that
What?
time period, they have 165. I took notes. They have 165. And yeah, like their death count just went up by like 300 when this heat wave. Our state alone had like 100 deaths from the heat wave. Multnomah County had like 50.
Wow.
Yeah, it was bad. It was bad. And so, anyways, knowing that restrictions are getting lifted, people are going to be traveling, we wanted to talk to you guys about some things for safe travel. You guys probably already know this, or at least a lot of this stuff, but it's good. We're also going to have a link in the description for the Department of Transportation and their travel tips. They go much more in depth. Like this is what you need to do to your car right now. Here's the details.
That's a
But
good idea.
yeah,
A lot of people don't think about those things when they're traveling by car.
yeah.
They just assume they can get in. The car ran perfectly fine back and forth to work on short little trips, or to the grocery store, and now they jump in the car and they expect to go 1,200 miles without, or even farther, without any interruptions.
And a lot of people are going to be traveling by car because air travel is expensive, and like you said, sometimes the traveling is the point. Getting to enjoy the sights along the way. It's estimated, from what I was reading, that way more people are going to be traveling by car than did in years previous. So, important topic.
Unfortunately, the gas prices here in America really suck right now.
Well, they do every
they
summer.
they always go up, at least a couple bucks a gallon in the summertime when they know people want to travel. It's like all of a sudden gas prices become more expensive. It's like, oh, you know what? The same gas we made and we've been storing for the last 9 months, it is now more costly to give to you. We're sorry. It's just another way for them to milk us for every dime they can get.
On a related note, don't put your gasoline in plastic bags. Don't do that.
Oh, you mean when the pipeline shut down on the East Coast?
Yeah. Don't put gas in plastic bags. That's bad.
Or in tubs, or any type of open container in your vehicle.
Yeah, gasoline is caustic, and it needs to be in a container that's specifically rated.
It's also flammable.
Also true. Yes, you will go up into a giant ball of flame. So don't just store and transport that stuff effectively. So it's important to note that temperatures over 100 are dangerous for human beings. You can be in them for short amounts of time. You can be there for long amounts of time, provided you're not exerting yourself. Humidity increases the effects of temperature on the human body. Over 130 degrees, you're looking at heat stroke.
Who wants to be in that kind of temperature, though?
Yeah. Oh God, no one. Well, it might actually be important to note, if you're working in conditions that are consistently above 130 degrees, you do have OSHA protections. Your employer is supposed to be providing breaks, cooler workspaces if they can, stuff like that, because you could die. So, typically if your employer is asking you to work in a condition which could kill you, they're supposed to try to, mitigate that.
So I was watching a thing on Cairo TV about work crews. When it's 100 degrees outside, the blacktop on the freeway system that they're replacing is 178 degrees. So it radiates and it absorbs all that heat, and it's like standing in an oven when it's just 100, and it becomes deadly for every degree that the temperature is over 100 degrees. Working road crew. The same can be said for people who are doing flagging work, during road construction. Now we're not just on the freeway, but in the cities as well. And they know that once it gets to 110 degrees, there is no reason for anyone to be out there. But there are some jobs that have to be done, regardless of the temperature. They just try to get them done, and they may have to do a quick patchwork job instead of what they originally had planned, which was removing surface and redoing the surface completely. They'll do a patchwork job and then wait until the early morning hours and then try to do it. But yeah, it's really wicked out there. I mean, I couldn't imagine standing in some place that's 150 plus degrees, radiating the heat all day long.
Yeah.
There's not enough water to put in your system to keep you hydrated.
Well, that's it. I've read a lot of internet chatter with people, talking about, I can handle that heat. And I literally did watch one person who also bragged about not providing air conditioners for their employees in 130 degree weather. It's like, not a single person left. No, that's not a bragging point, sir. It's not. Honestly, I'd like to stress, there's nothing, you don't have to subject yourself to temperatures that literally can kill you. People say stuff all the time. You're going to hear it where people are like, oh, it's just a little heat, you can't handle it. People are dying from being exposed to too much heat. So it's not just a little heat, and prioritize yourself. Take care of yourself. So, now that we've complained about that. Yeah. So, let's...
On to something else.
That's right. So, let's get into this. The number one thing is, don't leave yourself or your children or your pets in a locked vehicle. The temperature of a car can rise by 40 degrees in an hour. And sure, you're only running in for 15, 20 minutes, right? But then, Bob wants to talk to you, and then Bob and John are sitting there talking, whatever. And by the time John gets back out to his car, it's now been half an hour. But even in that 15 minutes, depending on the temperature, your car could already be above heat stroke level. If it's 110 out, it took less than 15 minutes for your car to heat up to the point where it could cause heat stroke. So, as adults, and I'm guilty of it too. If I take our daughter to the store or something like that, I'm like, I don't want to go in. You just go in, whatever, right? I'll sit here in the car and wait for you. Don't do that either, right? Because even though you're an adult, that does not actually increase your ability to withstand high temperatures by all that much. If you are going to stay in a car, leave the air conditioner on, make sure you've got some water, or just go into the car with your kid, or go into the store with your kid. Sure, she's only getting a couple of things, but you can browse too.
Our daughter's an adult as well. It's not like we're sending a little minor child in, and we would never leave our son in the car because, well, first, even if it wasn't hot, he'd take off with the car and play like Grand Theft Auto, slamming it and everything up and down the
Oh,
road.
he'd full on GTA our car.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah, don't, and I do want to stress, because I do hear adults oftentimes, doing things like that. They're staying in the car also. It's still not safe. Don't leave yourself in the car either. So, some stuff to take with you when you're traveling. Number one, cell charger. A lot of people forget that, especially if you're using maps to navigate. And make sure you've got a cell charger with you, because
external battery, and not just something that a charger you can plug into your car, but an external battery pack. You can buy them really cheap on Amazon for right around $7. You can get one shipped to you, and all you need to do is just plug it into the actual phone itself, and you can go from a completely dead battery on your cell phone to a fully charged one on one of those battery packs. And that way, if you buy one of the battery packs, you can charge it anywhere. There's a wall outlet. You can charge it in the cigarette lighter of your car if your car still has one. And a lot of cars actually have chargers now where you can actually just set your cell phone on it. But keep your phone on there. If you turn it on mute while you're driving, that way you're not distracted by your phone itself.
yes.
But go ahead.
Yeah, no, good point.
So
Portable
external
chargers. And also, you want to keep your phone charged up, not just for accessing navigation, but also in the event that you need to make an emergency phone call. Keeping your phone charged up.
Did you know that OnStar is stopping?
No.
Yeah. Chevrolet has killed OnStar.
Is that why it hasn't talked to me in a little while?
Yep.
First aid kit. I know a lot of people already have one in their car, but a lot of people
Or you
forget.
should.
Yeah, to go through your first aid kit and make sure that all the supplies in there aren't expired. And now a lot of people think that there's some things that can't expire. Like gauze, right? It's gauze, right? How does it expire? Well, the thing is that the gauze itself is fine, but if your packaging is too old, it gets brittle and now it's no longer sterile.
I had this happen to me with my first aid kit, not with gauze, but and I carry a first aid kit in my golf cart, and it's got Band-Aids, ointments, compression bandage, stuff like that in there. It's just a small little kit, but I needed a Band-Aid for my friend who cut his finger on like a thorn or some kind of brush or something when we were golfing one day, and I went to go get him a Band-Aid. And these are Band-Aid brand Band-Aids, ladies and gentlemen. The Band-Aid itself broke just trying to put it on because it had gotten so hot and so cold, rapid changes from being inside my golf cart for so long, that the plastic, that should be able to hold the Band-Aid on, it snapped. And every Band-Aid was the same way. So I'm not even thinking, wow, how can Band-Aids expire? Well, the plastic, and rubber, whatever it is, from heating and cooling down, it just got to the point where they were no good anymore.
They can lose their adhesive.
Yeah. So now I had to go out and buy Scooby-Doo Band-Aids to replace them.
Yeah, so be sure to check your first aid kit to make sure that everything in there isn't expired, and to make sure that the bandaging material is still functional.
Yeah.
Flashlight and batteries. If your flashlight has batteries in it, be sure to check the batteries to make sure that they're still working, and bring spares just in case.
Batteries or flashlights?
I mean,
both?
I'm inclined to say both, but I'm a hoarder. One flashlight is probably fine.
This is true. She's a hoarder.
Roadside kit. Most people already have one of these, but you want to make sure that it's got flares because you might be in a place that doesn't have cell reception, so you want to prepare for that. Flares, you want to have a flag, a small portable jack. Let's see. Oh,
Triangle.
yeah. Cables,
Cable? What kind of cable?
jumper cables.
Oh, I thought you liked cable TV.
No.
Oh, jumper cables. I've helped a lot of people over the years jumpstart their cars because, especially during the heat, it drains the battery on your car rapidly. You know, in the extreme heat and extreme cold, and you'd be surprised just how many people out there don't carry anything at all that we're listing. They don't have a first aid kit. They don't have a roadside emergency, system in place. They have great. You have a cell phone. You called Uncle Bob, and Uncle Bob can't get to you for at least a half an hour. In a half an hour in extreme heat, you could die, and you could also freeze to death during the wintertime. So even if you get one of those plastic little totes, you can buy one of those, at Home Depot or Target, Walmart, wherever, and you can put all this stuff in it. Get one with it has a lid that snaps down and locks down, because you want to make sure that as that thing moves, may bump around in your trunk of your car, that it's not going to spill the contents everywhere.
Mhm.
But another thing that you should definitely have in there is a roadside emergency blanket. These are blankets. They're made out of like a plastic, and they have aluminum on them. They compact down into nothing, and they fold out. You can cover up an entire body with one of those in extreme cold. But always make sure you have at least one of those in there. And I would also suggest, I know it's not on your list, but this is something we always kept in our cars, from coming from Wisconsin, Minnesota, is the little gel packs that you can break that are instant heat. Like, you can slide them inside of your mug, but your mittens, inside of your mittens to heat your hands or your feet. Those are extremely, and they don't activate until you actually mix the two parts that are inside of it. So you snap them, and then they actually heat up. So
Yeah. No, that's a good idea.
put that in that roadside kit in the trunk of your car. If you have a truck, you can buy one of those tubs that'll fit right behind the seat of your truck. It doesn't matter if it's an older truck or a newer truck.
A can of Fix-A-Flat.
Yep. But you got to be careful with that, especially in the summer months,
Yeah.
because that stuff you don't want jostling around.
If your
I've
car
had
is
one
air
explode in
conditioned.
my vehicle.
Yeah, if your car is air conditioned, you're probably gonna be all right. But if you don't have air conditioning, first off, if you don't have air conditioning, please consider getting it installed because traveling in high heat without air conditioning, I myself would die. But
She doesn't understand the cost of having air conditioning put into a car.
I don't understand that cost. I will own that.
It's expensive.
I've only had one car that doesn't have air conditioning. But to be fair, it's a good little car. But I'm a weenie now, so the other thing, a big thing is also water, and you don't have to buy water. But you can go down to Costco, you can get the big old thing of bottled water. That's actually fairly reasonable. You can get larger ones at Fred Meyer or whatever, but you don't have to.
Fred Meyer, Kroger.
Yeah.
They're Kroger across the United States.
You don't have to spend $10, $15 on bottled water. You'll also find in your stores, you will have gallons of bottled water, typically for 50 cents to $1 a piece. Much cheaper, and it's the same water.
Don't buy desalinated or what is it? Desalinated water and distilled. They taste like shit.
Well,
Ew.
and really,
I did that by mistake once.
You really only need stuff like that if you're putting it into something. If
Yeah,
you
well, I
water
mean,
for hydration.
Distilled water, you put that in your iron. But I had a couple of gallons of it. I bought it. I think it was like one of these Quick Trip stores. Didn't even think about it. Kept it in there for emergency purposes, and then I needed it. And I'm like, oh my god, this stuff tossed.
And honestly,
awful.
unless there's something wrong with the tap water where you live, you can just fill up empty jugs with tap water. Fine, it's free.
Yeah.
You will want to not store that. Water that you buy at the store is usually, there's not going to be anything in it that could grow. If you're putting your own tap water in, you're going to want to rotate that out, not something that you keep in there, because you can have microbes that would then grow and whatever. But it's not sterile if you're getting it out of your tap. But tap water is fine as long as there's nothing wrong with the tap water in your in the county where you live. Extra car fluids, brake fluids, oil. The extra fluids for your car, a lot of people don't think about this, but if you run low in the middle of nowhere, which may or may not have happened to me with the
Yeah,
oil for
yeah.
my car.
So, with newer modern cars, like my wife's car, you can't check any of those fluids at all except for the oil. You can add oil and you can check the oil. Everything else is underneath a giant plastic cover underneath the engine compartment. So, brake fluid, all those things are nice. If you're driving a newer modern car, though, you may not be able to check the transmission fluid, the brake fluid, or anything. It's all digital from the the navigation center dash thing inbuilt dash. It tells you, oh, your oil's low. You need water. I mean, it took me when her battery in her car died. If it wasn't for YouTube, her car would still be dead in our driveway because I could not find the battery in the car. And then when I did find the battery in the car, there's not one, there are two batteries in her car. What? Why do we need two batteries in this car? Because one is just for all the electronics in the car, and the other one is that actually runs the car.
So that's actually a good point. Also, before you go on a trip, if you have the funds available, it might be a good idea to go to one of those quick change places, just to have everything topped off and checked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But extra fluids, definitely. You could store those up. When it comes to like bottled water, I suggest doing what you do. Instead of buying a 1 gallon jug, if you're going to just be one person traveling, a whole 1 gallon jug of water that you buy at the store would be more than sufficient. Unless you're planning on going into the mountains or into Death Valley or someplace like that, where it may be hours before you ever see another human being or days. But if you're going to do something like that, I would definitely carry more water than that. But I buy like a gallon jug, and that's what I keep in my truck, is a gallon of water, because that's usually sufficient enough water for any extended period of time for me and for my little one. My little man and I, a gallon, that'd be more than sufficient. He may pour it all over himself, so I have to help him with that, because he just think it'd be the funnest thing in the world. But
Absolutely.
take a splishy splashing in the back of Daddy's truck. But go on.
Will already touched on emergency blankets, but something else that's helpful to have is some towels. If you get stuck in inclement weather, towels. If you get stuck
What do you do with towels?
If you get stuck in inclement weather, can help you dry off. So when people think about traveling during the summer months, you think about heat-related stuff. But like Will was talking earlier with the hand warmers and stuff like that, depending on where you're traveling to, the nights can still get really, really cold.
Something else along that lines, you're going to think this is foolish, but if you can buy a couple of newspapers, and if you're going to get stranded overnight or in the wintertime in inclement colder weather, newspapers. No, I'm not going to suggest that you burn the newspapers as kindling to start a fire alongside the highway. Wad it up and stick it in underneath your clothes. You would be surprised just how quick of an insulation that will actually make to keep you warm. Next.
No, that's it. That's the end of our list. Now, there's a more expanded list that you'll find on the link that we're going to put in the description to the Department of Transportation, but this is some of the basics.
You might also check out AAA. AAA has a lot of great references for traveling by road, along with traveling by sea and by air, along with destinations here in America and around the world, depending upon where you want to go. The AAA is worldwide, and they have several different names that they go by. They're the British Motoring Services or something like that in Great Britain, and it covers a huge geographical location there as well. But they use that, but they're still the AAA, AAA, 3 A's. So
a map.
A map.
Yep, a
Do
lot
they
of
even make maps anymore?
they do. They do still make maps, and a lot of people, myself included, navigate via GPS nowadays. It's just easier, faster, and it's like turn here, and then I don't turn here, and then it yells at me, and we have a good time. The phone's gonna try and kill me.
All these notes, that's all you have. Huh?
Oh, these notes are for the. We have a special treat coming up for you. These other notes are for something that my mom and I are planning. We're going to be visiting.
Oh, they're going to take a road trip and show you how to not do it. Well, learn from others' mistakes.
Anyways, but if you get to an area that doesn't have cell coverage, and amazingly enough, despite what T-Mobile says, there's still a number of places that don't have cell coverage.
It's not just T-Mobile. Yeah, if Verizon itself, if you have ever been in the state of Montana or Wyoming and you have Verizon, good goddamn luck getting cell reception in those states. And they will show you their giant coverage map saying that it's all 100% blue. Now, I've been in those states with their services, and it says that what they're using is they're paying off of somebody else's tower, and you're roaming. But they don't have the services, and if they only get what's called third party access to those towers. So if you're a Verizon customer and you're in those states, you're not actually getting Verizon services. You're paying off of someone else who has an area in that area. In there.
Well, and there's a lot of stuff that interferes with cell coverage too. If you're in the mountains, the mountains are going to interfere and stuff like that.
Yeah, so I just want to make sure everybody knew it wasn't just T-Mobile that
oh yeah,
that has issues.
T-Mobile's coverage map is the widest coverage map on Bob, but I'm in the middle of Snoqualmie. Really?
They all say the same thing. That their coverage is awesome, and everybody's gonna you have to switch to us because we're the cheapest, we're the best services.
So yeah, a map of where you're going is definitely.
I didn't know they still made maps.
They still make paper maps, and you can still get them. Always
Can
a
you
good
go on the
thing.
MapQuest and still print out instructions?
MapQuest. Who even uses MapQuest anymore?
I do.
Babe.
Yeah, it tells me how you have to go so far and then turn. It's the same thing.
Look.
I mean, why is it, if there's a co-pilot in your car, what's the rule? Co-pilot, doesn't get choices of music. The driver does.
Oh,
the co-pilot
you
shuts the fuck
butchered
up.
that supernatural quote.
Well,
Driver picks the music, shotgun shuts his gate hole.
Yeah. But they have MapQuest for that. They can sit there and look at the map, or the MapQuest, or the MapQuest printouts. Just saying.
Anyways, so yes, those are some good some tips.
Now, these are all great tips and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But what about? Do you have any tips for traveling with a child?
Don't.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's great. We're leaving our son at home. See y'all later. People have to travel with children.
Yeah. So honestly, traveling with children is special considerations. I'll always add hours to your trip, not just for traffic, but hit every rest stop. Give the kiddos a chance to stretch their legs out a little bit. Take some pictures, whatever.
Don't just let them out of the car and let them say run.
Yeah.
Stay
Tiny
with
loves to
stay
take
with your children.
pictures of stuff. But yeah, hit every rest stop is honestly my main advice. Hit every single rest stop. Be sure to stock up on snacks. Now, I myself prefer to leave either late in the evening or early in the morning when it's not quite as hot out, and when the kiddo is still sleepy. That way, they'll fall back asleep in the car seat.
Okay. So another tip that I want to add along with that is she said keep snacks and juice, or water, stuff like that for the child on the road trip. But something that we do that I'm sure other people out there do as well is every time you go someplace, take a couple extra napkins. I'm not talking about take the entire damn package of napkins from them, but 3 or 4 extra napkins and put them in your glove box. Because those napkins are going to come in handy, ladies and gentlemen, in a quick, need. Put a little bit of water on it. You can use that to clean up their face, their little sticky fingers if you drive, if you're taking a road trip with a younger child. Because even though you think that you have the cutest, most smartest, child out there, they're little magnets for germs. And they will find them wherever they can, and they will touch things, in and around in your car or you. They will find those germs. If there's a way to find the germ, a child will find it. And you can use a little bit of hand sanitizer wipe on a napkin, and then boom, you've got a way to kill that surfaces. So, napkins. We have a whole bunch of them in our glove box. We don't take them from one place. We save them up and just throw them in the glove box because they are beneficial. Along with that, the plastic bags that you get from the grocery store, keep one of those. They, if you need to, if they get something on their shirt, you can change their clothes. You can throw that in a plastic bag and then tie it up and put it aside in your vehicle, or if you're traveling by air or train, which are Greyhound, whatever it may be, that you're traveling, however your method is, you can it makes a quick way to stop that from getting onto other things. Even if you have to put it back in your your suitcase, but plastic bags, we always keep a couple of those in our car for when we're traveling. They also obviously work as trash bags as well. Yeah. So you get multiple uses out of bags. If you don't just have to use them one time from the grocery store, and then bringing your groceries home. We try to use the reusable bags when we go grocery shopping, but you can use the disposable bags for a lot of things. Mm-hmm. Any other tips for So you say no, don't take children with you. Leave them at home. So Crystal wants to reenact Home Alone with the child. Anything else? Mm-hmm. All right.
Just a quick video with some quick tips on traveling.
Is there any tips for one versus another traveling with family that you would suggest?
Honestly, I suggest shorter trips, especially if you've got kids. Sometimes it can't be avoided. You're taking a longer trip. But especially for younger kiddos, they just don't have the sitting power. Some kids do. All children are different. Some kids are perfectly content to sit in their car seat, for 6 hours reading a book or whatever. My kid is not that kid, but I'm aware that kid exists out there in the world. You know your kid better than anybody else. You know where their tolerances are at. Just keep that in mind.
I would one last suggestion is if you're going to take a trip by car, airplane, whatever it might be, and you're taking a small child with you, take a couple shorter trips before you take that major trip.
A test trip.
Yeah, smaller trips. Day trip. Maybe you're only going a couple hours. To see something scenic and then turn around and come back. But build up that tolerance of what they're doing, because you have to understand as they're growing, they don't necessarily understand that this is going to take 6 hours to get where we're going. Then that concept of 6 hours is not something that they can actually comprehend in a lot of cases. So if you take a lot of shorter trips, they understand. Okay, well, I get in the car. I'm not just going to the grocery store or to the park with mom and dad. I'm going on a longer trip. That's something out of town, and you can also sit down and again with MapQuest or map an actual paper map. Apparently, they still make them. As show them the route that you're going to be taking, so you can help them plan it out, and then tell them about things along the way. Maybe some things you can pick out and say, what would you like to stop at and see along the way? And if you can plan one or two things that they pick out, that makes it a lot more memorable for the actual child itself. So I would suggest doing something like that. As one last tip, if you're going to be taking a road trip, again, stock up on keep a little first aid kit in the trunk of your car, flares, triangles, water, first aid kit, stuff like that. Put it all in one tub. And plan ahead. You can plan all you want, but you're always going to forget something. It's going to be either the phone charger or the film. It used to be the film for cameras. People would forget the film and they'd have to pay $9 a roll at Yosemite National Park or something. But that's it. Pretty much it.
Yeah.
Plan ahead.
Yeah. Be sure to check out that link that we're going to leave you guys. So.
Yeah. Stay safe. Whatever you do.
You stay safe out there.
Yeah. Thanks. If you're going to travel, just plan ahead and even if you don't go anywhere more than maybe a half an hour, just do something. Get out there and enjoy life. There's no reason to be bottled up in your home all the time. So
anyways, those are our tips. Check out our link. I hope everybody has a fabulous Sunday, and I hope you have great travels.
Yes. All right. Thank you very much. We'll see you all next Sunday.